Hi, host Eric here, talking with famous people. How exactly do we want to structure this name case? Good question. Well, let's go over the possible cards we might use. We've got a couple cards here on this democracy not better point. The first says that it is, what is this supposed to stand for? Special interest, right? Special interest groups plus apathy plus voter apathy mean that democracy is doomed to fail. B, the war on poverty card is an example of democracy failing by the war on poverty. Number two, we have cards that say democracy requires time to grow. We have a card that says democracy requires local control. We have a card that says democracy requires that it rise by itself, you not help it along. And what's the analogy that we're going to use for that is the chicken egg analogy. Were you here when I explained that before? Mm-hmm. Okay. If you take a baby chicken that's trying to get out of an egg, when it's hatching, and it's trying to peck its way out of the egg, mm-hmm. you have to let it fight its way out of that eggshell. If you do, then it comes out and it's a perfectly normal, healthy chick after a little while. If you go, oh, the poor chick can't get out, and you start helping it get out of the shell, breaking the shell for it, and not making it do that fight to get out, then you ruined the chicken, basically. It comes out and it's all like messed up and floppy and lacking in agency, basically. So sometimes the only way to learn something, the only way to accomplish something is to have to do the hard work of it yourself. We can't help the baby chicken get out of the shell without hurting the baby chicken. Just like we can't help a tribal peoples become a nation without allowing them first to go through local control and self-governing city-states that arise on their own and are not compelled from the outside. And it specifies here autonomy is occurring in the city-state size first. Also, we have a card that indicates that we need to establish liberty as a mores before democracy can manifest. And mores is just a shared value. E, democracy supervenes upon what? Well, A, infrastructure. Actual like court buildings and city halls and other structures of government that facilitate the movement of society through time. And B, they have to have, before democracy can happen, I mean these values, mores, or traditions, or habits. A, transparency in the public business. We have to say, if you are doing the public's work, then we get to watch you. You don't get to do it in secret. B, individual liberty as a value, that is to say, it's okay for me to be different from you if I am not hurting you. It usually breaks down to a rights-based framework, but it doesn't have to. You can still value liberty without a rights framework. And then the third one here says, the parties must believe in the fairness and certainty of electoral processes. It is easier for me to be a reasonably less sore loser if I believe 100% is true that I'll have another shot in a couple of years with a fair election, and if I can actually convince enough people to go with me, then I will, and I get the votes, and I will win. You have to believe in the fairness and certainty of the electoral processes if you want to have losers who don't take up arms against the winners. When you talk about political processes, we're saying who has the power over whom? Well, that's going to result in people taking up arms. Saying, oh, I don't want you to have the power over me, I'm going to shoot you. Unless you have individual liberty as a more, in which case, well, you're in power, but your power is limited by my individual liberty. So you will not infringe on my liberty. You're going to maybe make me less happy with your policies than I want, but you're not going to tell me I have to wear a plaid hat every Tuesday. If you have transparency in the public business, then it's another reason why people will accept an electoral loss, because they say, okay, fine, you want it, we're going to watch every single thing you do. I'm going to be at every single one of those city council meetings. I'm going to write down everything you say, and you can fully anticipate in the next election, I'm going to quote the shit out of you, and I'm going to be like, he said this thing wrong, and that thing wrong, and this thing wrong, and next time I'm going to win. So that's part of the process as well. And what are all of these things have to do with in common? Agency. Agency. Agency is the understanding, the ability, and the belief that your actions are capable of affecting change. To have agency is to be capable of affecting change intentionally, willfully, willful change. So the issues surrounding agency are locus of control. If you have an internal locus of control, you believe that things happen the way they do because you make them happen the way they do. If you have an external locus of control, you believe that things happen the way they do because the outside world is throwing random stuff at you. You have nothing to do. You can't do about it. Well, I got an F because I had to go to pick up Jane at the airport last night. My mom made me go, and I didn't have a chance to study, and that's why I got an F. That's an external locus of control. Internal locus of control would say, I got an F because I decided to not study that thing last night when I was driving, and I had decided a couple days previously to put it off till the last minute, so I was just like, screw it. So yeah, that's why I got an F. I chose to do that. And that's okay. Why are you busting my chops about it? That's an internal locus of control, you know? Resistance of the status quo to change will have to do somewhat with the group, the individuals in the group, whether or not their locus of control is internal or external. When you have a large number of people who have developed an external locus of control that think that stuff just happens because they don't have any control over it, whether it's in their personal life or in the socio-political spectrum, the outcome is there becomes increasing resistance to change in the status quo. Because for one thing, it becomes difficult to find allies who are willing to make effort to change things because nobody believes that it will do any good. The homogeneity of a group is a critical factor as well. Extremely homogeneous groups work very well as democracies and democratic, force vectors, and they work very badly. One of those two. Like if you're talking about like Scandinavian countries, well, before they had massive amounts of like Middle Eastern immigration and stuff, they were very homogeneous. It's like a bunch of Dutch people, all in Holland. They all look the same, they all speak the same language, they all have the same core values of individualism. But they have the same core values as well of altruism. And so you end up with a culture that produces a democracy that both respects individual rights in the social way and rejects individual rights in the economic sense by having hugely high taxes and says, well, everybody gets to be happy and healthy and have lots of money. Well, that's fine if you have a small homogeneous group. And you're just like, well, look, yeah, I know I make more money than my daughter, but she's going to get to have a good life anyway because I'm her father and I'm supporting her, It's like if you have a small group, it doesn't matter. It's not unfair that I have to pay for my daughter to eat. Well, why don't you get a job, Delilah? Well, because you're my daughter and I have no problem having to spend money having a child, It doesn't work like that. If your your nation state is very small and very tight knit, then probably everyone can be like, yeah, well, let's have high taxes because that's fine. I don't need all this money. We're all part of the same team anyway. Once it gets more diverse, however, you've got a problem with that, which is if you have really high taxes, well, now we talked about how there's got to be a chance of me coming and winning and stuff. But you're setting up rules that are punishing huge sections of the population based on the fact that you can, and those rules are going to persist beyond your rule. So, like in Egypt, for example, you had a homogeneous group that turned out really badly. Why? Because they all voted for Muslim Brotherhood candidates. When the Muslim Brotherhood came into power, Well, I mean, they're Islamic. It's a religious group, and their position is that atheists should be put to death, that the guy who made a video making fun of Islam should be put to death, that homosexuals should be put to death. And so they start passing these kind of ridiculous laws that violate individual liberty, that violate the key values and mores of democracy, namely that difference can be tolerated and, in fact, even embraced potentially. So, what ends up happening is Egypt becomes more democratic and less free. You could run Egypt as an AF argument. See, democracy promotion works. We got Egypt to overthrow their dictator and put in, what, a theocracy that's even worse? Which is exactly what they did. So, in this case, you want to say, that's bad. Egyptian Brotherhood equals demo gone bad. Because the Egyptian people wanted that. That's what they want. The Egyptian people want a government that finds the guy who made that movie, who made fun of Islam, and sends the Egyptian military over there to kill him. Because he slandered the prophet, the one true prophet Allah. That's what the Egyptian people want. So shouldn't they get that? It's the will of the people. Well, it's a fair election, it was a fair vote. They voted for this guy, Morsi. They got him. Yeah, now he wants to imprison all the atheists in the country. Well, that's a good thing. That's the will of the people. That's the will of the people in a place that has not developed the mores of democracy, and why you have to have mores of democracy first. You can't you can't say to the kindergartners, all right, you guys tell me what to teach you. Because, after all, you're the students. You should be dictating your own education. This is what I tell debater types at a certain point, right? You know, like, well, what are you not getting, or where do you think this is weak, or freaking, drive the thing a bit, drive the bus. Don't make me come up with all the directionality or motivation or whatever. But you can't do that with a kindergarten class. Because they'll just be like, teach us more about candy. And you'll be like, okay. And then you spend the whole year, and by the end of the year, all you got is people who've got no teeth left in their mouths because they've been doing nothing but eating candy all year. And a teacher who feels as though they've got the cushiest job in the world, I guess. I don't know. But it's not a good idea to do that. Well, that's what happened in Egypt. They said, okay, now, yes, we are protesting. We're in the square in the middle. Everybody, yes, hooray, democracy. Of course, there are no women here because we make them stay home. And when they do come out here, they get gang raped. This is the problem with Islam, right? It's why it's functionally apartheid against women. If you have Islamic people choosing their own leader as a function of the democratic will of the people, they're going to choose a leader who reduces half the population to subhuman status. And absolutely, that's what Islam does to women. It reduces them to subhuman status. Otherwise, they would be able to decide for themselves whether they want to show their arm or not. Right? If you are Islamic and your wife goes out with her arms displayed, well, then she's insulted you and your family, and she's shamed you. The fact that she hasn't done anything to you seems to be irrelevant, right? Because they're not based in an individual rights-based framework. They're not based in an individual liberty kind of more. set of values. So those individuals, having not established those sets of values, having instead established contradictory values implicit to their religion, Islam, and the fact that it's a religion, which is to say they are going to make exclusive claims on truth. We have the one truth that is exclusive of all others. To the extent that your truth disagrees with ours, or especially if it teases it, if it says, Muhammad, if I draw a picture of Muhammad, like, I'm Muhammad. Let me put a hat on you. Here's a Muslim hat. I'm Muhammad. Oi. I'm Muhammad. I'm crazy. And not a prophet. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm subject to death now, according to Muslims. I've drawn a picture of Muhammad. You can see him right here. This is the Muhammad of the Quran. Yes, that's me. Allah be praised. He's got this tattooed on his face now. Allah be praised. I'm extremely good Muslim. I got Allah be praised tattooed on my face. So if I draw this picture of Muhammad with Allah be praised tattooed on his face and saying, I'm Muhammad, I'm Quasi, I'm not really a prophet, I've just been fooling you guys, then according to literally at least 100 million people think I should be killed for that. There's at least 100 million people in the world who think that I should be killed for making those jokes right there. At least, probably 500 million people. That's called not having the values and mores of democracy. They are appalled at the kill him now! Well, why? Well, look at those lines! Those lines are the wrong lines. They're just marks on a whiteboard. No! They're reason to kill you! No, they're not. So anyway, hence our great plan. Hence the counter plan. Instead of helping them to get democracy by promoting it, we'll help them to get liberty by letting them kill each other. Kill yourself to democracy. They're gonna kill each other to democracy. We're gonna give them lots of guns and 0 votes because they're going to kill each other to democracy. That's the plan. See? Everyone wins. Everyone wins. That's the point. Well, what about the dead people? Well, they don't win. But the rest of us do. If we want a stable Middle East. Do you want that? Do you want that for the future generations of women in the Middle East? You want them to continue being chattel? Or do you want them to be free? Well, then you're going to have to let the natural processes occur. Namely, they've got to kill each other to democracy. It's true, they do. Why? Because we interfered and we didn't allow them to go through the autonomous city-state part that we should have. The tribal region thing, they need to go through that. We need to let it happen. They won't go back to that tribal region thing until they kill away all the central authority and it's like they're going to keep trying to take each other over until they thin the herd some. It's the simple truth of the matter. I don't mean to sound like, callous, but doing shit makes it worse.